Welcome to the 2025 recap of Miss America. I'm Dani. If you're prepping for a pageant, check out my pageant prep course. It is filled with so many resources that you need. It's in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out memberships where you can get access to early episodes and exclusive content. So let me just give a disclaimer for this episode by saying I'm very excited at the direction of the organization since Miss America 2.0, since Robin. But Robin has been wrapped up in a lawsuit, and I do feel like that shows in the production. I'm gonna give a little bit of grace for that because I feel like once she's through that, then all of her energy gets to go into the pageant. So I do feel like in many ways, this was kind of the same show as last year. So first of all, Miss America, I am available to sing your national anthem. I can do that. I can do that for you. Also, available for hosting. Just want to put that out there. I do appreciate the creative introduction openings like of yesteryear that we used to see, and I love those. I miss those, honestly. I feel like the execution of this one was a little bit off. Okay, so the ladies exiting the bus with their flip-flops in hand, I was like, oh okay, not a, I mean, like, I see where you were going. Like, we just missed the mark a little bit there. Oh gosh, the girls backstage, some of them just looked like shocked that it was their turn to go, like their names were barely said. And I was just waiting to see what in the world they were gonna be holding on to at that point. Like, one queen has an instrument, others have a selfie light. I was like, what are they about to pull out next? A rubber chicken? Like, I just didn't know what was going on. Oh gosh. I also feel like there was something off with the audio. It was a little strange. Like, the ladies were mic'd, but then the music was pretty quiet. And I feel like in years past, they would film the contestants and they would cut away to hot spots in the city where it was being filmed, or they would cut away to clips of the audience. And I feel like that would have been a better like transition or breakaway between the different groupings of the contestants. The one thing I like though is that at the end of it, after they finished saying their introductions, they made it look like, the way that they edited it is they made it look like the ladies just finished their introductions, and then they took you from backstage out onto the stage. And we also saw that at Miss France though this year. It was a bit more seamless at Miss France. I think that the gold outfits that they wore for the opening were cute. You know, kind of nothing we haven't seen before. I'm not sure that they were sponsored. It looks like they kind of got to choose their own gold number. So I do wish there was a little bit more uniformity with that. I think also they're gonna need bigger staging in the future. They just look like there's too many girls on that stage. And then sometimes the exposure levels of the camera were really off during the clips of them, so that should change. And I really think that adding some performers would make a huge difference and really up the production value of the show. And then I was just thinking, I hope that they're not gonna be doing any crowd work again. I was like, please tell me you worked out the timing of the show this year so that we could skip all of that, because it's really not necessary. So after the opening, we went to the announcement of our semi-finalists. They announced the judge and then they went into crowd work, and I was like, no, please, no. And oh yeah, that was rough. I thank God I just fast forwarded though. Okay. And then let's talk about the fitness competition. Let's talk about my standouts here. So my favorite fitness walks were the following. I really liked Texas. I thought that she was cute from like the get-go, and she brought a lot of energy to the stage. I think that she had a nice walk and she wasn't really overdoing it, and I feel like that's probably one of my biggest complaints with fitness competitions for Miss title holders. I honestly, at this point, I just wish we would go back to swimsuit. But we have Wisconsin, okay? And I was like, oh no, she did the horse kick from the beginning, and I was like, I wish she would just stop horse kicking. I liked her little look at the end of the runway though. I mean, there was a lot of things I liked about her, but if she just hadn't horse kicked, I think that would have made a difference. Oklahoma, I think that she had a really strong entrance and she wasn't really overworking anything. She looked like a beautiful Miss contestant. I think she made this look as Miss as possible, and I think she nailed her poses as well. Great job. Ohio, so pretty. Definitely stood out for beauty for sure. I think that her hairstyling looked really great on stage. She was very lively, and she did a good job. Good performance. Alabama was really nailing fitness for me, for sure. I like the bouncy hair. I like that she looked at the audience a little bit and also the judges, so great use of her eye contact. I think that the entire routine looked really clean, cute, well executed, so she would have got one of my top scores for fitness. Then we had a little break and they interviewed the reigning Miss America's teen, and I love that. I love that she gets a little moment that they pay attention to her, unlike in the Miss USA organization where like Miss Teen USA, what even happens to her, we don't even know. We don't even hear. Like, we see her once a year. I also really like this next section where they give them a little buzzword and then they get to just comment on it because it's always really creative. So I'm going to share with you my favorites, or at least give you some notes as well. Florida, her word was technology. She talked about her dad receiving an organ donation. She is a COO of a nonprofit, and they are currently developing an app to help people be successful with their transplants. And I thought that that was a really unique connection and link to technology. Love that. Texas. So everybody kept commenting that she has such a unique story, and now I get to hear some of that story. So her word was immigration, and she lucked out. That's the perfect word for her. Like, she was ready for this. She says that she's an immigrant. She became a citizen 2 years ago, and if she wins, she would be the first immigrant ever to win Miss America. And she talked about the American dream and the Miss America dream that empowers every individual to pursue their dreams. And I just loved it. Loved it. Top pick. Georgia. So Georgia's word was censorship. And she talked about how she worked for Twitter, and she says she understands the importance of censorship, and she says that social media must implement censorship. That, I was surprised. I was like, whoa, I have not yet heard a contestant say that she is for censorship. We're just throwing the First Amendment out the door completely. Like, one of the great American freedoms. She's like, do away with it. The freedoms that people sacrifice their lives for, and their freedoms, so that we could have the right to free speech. And she's like, nope. I mean, I was shocked. A lot of the ladies, I feel like they were really struggling to connect their community service initiative to these answers. And ladies, it cannot always be done. So Minnesota, it was a little bit of a stretch, but I totally get where she was going. Her word was equality. And she talked about working with Congress to pass laws to make sure that AEDs are accessible, because heart disease doesn't discriminate. And she wants to make sure that people don't die in the future because they don't have access to an AED. And I feel like it was a little bit of a stretch. It was still good, but I was like, ooh, it's rough. Ohio's word was national debt. She really focused on student loan debt, so I was surprised by this because I don't feel like she really made a connection. Alabama, wow, quick answer here. Her word was unemployment. She talked about how after COVID, a lot of people didn't go back to work, and we need to encourage people to return to the workforce. And she backed this up with statistics. Honestly, it was a great answer. It did not tie into her CSI, but it does not have to, ladies. It is better to just give an informed answer than to try to tie something back into your CSI, your advocacy, your platform, whatever it is. Obviously, our first option that we want to go for is like, how do I make this personal? How can I tie it into me, or share something about myself, or how do I share more about my advocacy in this answer? If that is not a reasonable option, ladies, do not force it. Do what Miss Alabama did and share an intelligent answer. Talent, let's talk about it. So Florida, wow, out the gate. Oh my gosh. When she came out for fitness, I was like, is she a dancer? Is she a dancer? Look at those legs. And she is. Great technique. Love this. Absolutely fantastic. I was like, well, the dancers are showing up. Now, Texas performed slam poetry, and I'm a little on the edge about poetry because here's the thing. I do feel like it takes talent to write the poetry, but I do feel like that the delivery of slam poetry, it's kind of like you seen one, you seen them all when it comes to that. So I don't necessarily feel like slam poetry qualifies as a performing art, because writing poetry is not a performance art. I mean, unless you make it one, unless you actually do that live on stage, which actually would be incredible and very amazing. I'm really on the fence about talent when it comes to slam poetry. I feel different though about monologues, whether a contestant wrote them or if they're acting out a scene from a musical, a movie, or a play. I feel differently because when you are acting out a monologue, the performance art of acting is incorporated there. So I feel like that's where the distinction is for me. Wisconsin did a dance routine. Amazing, great technique again. Beautiful, but I will say I wish they would start just titling these acro dances or gymnastic pieces, because I feel like we've really lost the art of dance. So this is a comparison, is I would score Florida higher, for example, than Wisconsin, although Wisconsin's routine was, yes, impressive with all the backflips and aerials and all of that. That's great and that's fine, but I can't really score it as a dance because I feel like we lost a lot of the dance in this. South Carolina, I do not understand this song choice for her. I don't feel like her voice naturally has a very soulful quality, and I feel like this song that she chose needs that. Colorado, I don't feel like this was the right song choice for her either. I mean, My Funny Valentine, it's a classic jazz piece, and I feel like jazz pieces should sound jazz. Now, her rendition of this, I wouldn't really put in the jazz category, especially the way that she performed it, but I do feel like it really needs like that kind of jazzy performance. There was a disconnect there. So she was using a lot of vibrato at the beginning of her song, like right in the opening. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of vibrato. It's a lot of vibrato for your head voice, right? For that like, ah, that really like breathy type of voice. Like, I get it, I get where she was coming from. When we listen to My Funny Valentine, I mean, very filled with vibrato, right? But that's the jazz styling of it. If you think about it, but don't change a hair for me, not if you care for me. A lot of vibrato, right? Stay, little Valentine, stay. Right? A lot of vibrato. Each day, even that. Each day is Valentine's Day. Obviously I'm rushing, but there's a lot of vibrato in the jazz style of it, and I don't feel like the vibrato makes a lot of sense in the head voice. So ladies, it's really, really important that you take into consideration your voice type and what best suits it. Oklahoma kind of reminded me of Victoria Justice sometimes, like little glimpses of her, but great job clogging. I mean, great technique and timing, and very entertaining. Loved it. Georgia, I liked her. I liked her rendition of Home. I liked the gown that she wore with it. I do think that her voice was fried at the end, and that is always tough for singers when you've been competing for so long. Like, your voice gets really strained throughout the week, even if you're not singing every day, and you lose that beautiful, clean clarity at the very end for those big notes. Tennessee, however, good example, her voice suited Climb Every Mountain. It made sense. Also a beautiful gown for her. But I do really wish overall for her that she would stand up straight and tall. That was my overall note for her. She was always pitched forward towards the judges, always looking down, always smiling at them. Ohio, very creative with this ballet samba routine. I had fun with it. Alabama, I do feel like we started and finished on the same note. It kind of felt like we were watching a different variation of Florida's talent, ending with Alabama, but great and wonderful and technical. Still liked it. Let's talk evening gown. So Florida was wearing this really pretty green gown, and I thought the color was more of a teal green, and then she stepped into the light and then it turned into this Kelly green, and I feel like there was definitely something off with the lighting for the show, for the cameras. I really like this. I think it's really pretty on her. Like, it suited her body. The color looked great with her hair. Green, though, as I say, it's often the kiss of death in pageantry. If you're not competing in earth, it's very rare to win in green if you're not a redhead. So when I saw it, I was like, oh no, oh no. Texas, love, love, love. Love the gown choice, love the color, the walk, the performance, the confidence of her. Great, such a standout. I immediately top 5. Wisconsin, I like this gown. I do feel like this leans more towards the Miss America styling of gowns. There's a lot of coverage going on here. I think that the hair up made a lot of sense, and she looked really beautiful in this. South Carolina, I did not understand the choice of this evening gown. I feel like it really inhibited her walk. Not saying you need a gown covered in rhinestones, but I just feel like she just disappeared on the stage in this gown. I didn't get it. Georgia, did you notice she was wearing Elle Smith's winning Miss USA gown in gold rather than silver? And let me tell you, that gown is spectacular on stage, but it does give a little bit more of like Miss USA vibes. Tennessee, love this evening gown. Definitely like Miss America, but like a fun take on it, like a timeless Miss America type style. Love it with her hair. I just need more posture, Tennessee, more posture. Ohio, once again with the green. I think that she was so beautiful on stage. She was really resisting using those glitz arms and those glitz shoulders as she was walking. And she did just enough to advance. Alabama, love this gown. The gown to me looks very Miss America, but I like that the cowl neckline kind of modernizes it a little bit. And we don't usually see a lot of contestants anymore winning with their hair pulled back like we did in the early 2000s, but it was a really nice look for her, and it really did show off the back of this gown, which was stunning. Also very cute that they welcome back their former Miss Americas, and let me just say, I have and always will love Katie Stam. I was at Miss America and I saw her get proposed to her now husband. Let's talk about our top 5. I totally agree with these choices. When I looked at all of it, I was like, yeah, I feel good about that. I feel right about that, especially if I were judging. I agree. Let's talk about their final questions. Tennessee was asked, as a role model for young women, how do you manage personal authenticity and expectations placed on you in the public eye? And now she mainly just talked about the diagnosis she received when she was 12 years old. And so kind of like the same old thing that we saw from her throughout the show. And I just think that it came across as rehearsed and not very fresh sounding. Alabama, how do you define success? And what steps are you taking in your personal and professional life to achieve it? Great answer. She first started by defining success. She said, success is defined as setting clear and definable goals. It's about prioritizing tasks, being focused, disciplined, consistency, skills that I acquired from competing in the America opportunity, and I'm ready for the ups and the downs and everything involved and being successful in this opportunity. So, I mean, I like that she went about like defining what success is. I don't necessarily think she talked about like the steps that she's taking to achieve this personal success in your life. She more so just talked about what she gained from the Miss America organization. And I do feel like that is a very common theme in this new era of Miss America, is just like being the best spokesperson for the organization. And what does that mean? Like speaking positively about the organization, talking about the benefits to others. And I feel like she nailed that in this answer, but didn't necessarily fully elaborate on the question. Now, Texas was asked, what does empowerment mean to you and how do you empower others in your community? And she says, is the foundation of the Miss America opportunity. It's a mission to empower young women to lead. I will empower young women to pursue their dreams because my parents were empowered to make sacrifices. And then she talked about a little bit about how she's an immigrant. Then she mentioned after a good meal how she'll be ready for the job of Miss America, essentially. So really, really great answer here. I actually really loved this answer. This was my favorite out of the top 5. Florida was asked, what qualities make a great leader and how do you embody those qualities? She talked about how that has helped her to be a leader, and it's taught her how to delegate and to wake up every day doing what she loves and putting her best forward. And she's learned that as a business owner. And she also understands that without the village around her, she wouldn't be where she is today. I think she answered this question. She talked about the qualities, explained how being a business owner has enabled her to be a leader. So it was good, but it wasn't just like the most unique answer. It wasn't the most memorable answer. So I feel like that's what affected her placement. Ohio, how can we encourage more young people to get involved in their communities? And then she talked about how all her life she's been underestimated. When she told people she wanted to be a scientist, they said she wasn't smart enough, or when she wanted to be Miss America, that she didn't fit the mold. I think that what hurt Ohio is her delivery. It sounded very rehearsed, and then by the end of her answer, she was shouting at the audience, and so she wasn't maintaining her composure. But let's talk about placements. So 4th runner-up, Ohio. When she was shouting, I was like, yep, I was like, she's gonna be 4th runner-up. 3rd runner-up, Florida. 2nd runner-up, Tennessee. I may have swapped those results if I were judging, because I do feel like Florida answered her question. 1st runner-up, Texas, and then our queen is Alabama. So I think that Alabama did a fantastic job. I mean, all the ladies did, honestly. There weren't any like serious flubs on stage. I think that Alabama was really, really well-rounded and very consistent throughout the competition. So great job. But I would love to see those scores, because I do feel like in this case, I mean, it had to have been so close between Alabama and Texas, because I did prefer Alabama's fitness routine, and I did really love her in gown though. But then I really liked both of Texas's answers. And I don't know exactly the scoring breakdown, but I do believe that after Miss America 2.0 and all of that, that they started equaling out the areas of competition. So it wasn't like one is 30% and one's 10%. I believe that they're all equally weighted. So in that case, it's kind of like 50-50 for both of them. And I really could have seen it gone either way. But gosh, I wish we could see those scores. Either way, the ladies did a fantastic job. Congratulations to our new Miss America, and I cannot wait to continue to tune in and see how the organization continues to grow.